According to a Rasmussen poll that we discussed recently right here on this show with Mark Mitchell, exclusively actually, the 2024 presidential election is like some kind of weird holy war. That's because, as the recent Rasmussen poll shows, overwhelming numbers of believers, people of faith, not even just Christians, but all kinds of religious believers, including practicing Jews and Muslims living in the United States, support the Trump-Vance Republican presidential ticket, whereas 80% of self-identified atheists overwhelmingly support the Democratic Party's ticket of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Why ever could there be such a religious difference between the two political parties, especially in terms of Muslim American support for Trump, which we didn't really expect, who we are told hate Donald Trump and J.D. Vance for their support of Israel? Might there be something about Kamala Harris's radical and lifelong support for, I don't know, infanticide?
I come from a long line of tough, trailblazing and phenomenal women. My grandmother would go into villages in India because she was Indian and lived in India, and she would go to the villages in India. It was a famous story in our family. My grandfather would say she was going to be the end of his career, but my grandmother would go into the villages with a bullhorn, talking with the women about the need to have access to reproductive health care.
I'm not going to lie. Okay, that story sounds super duper made up. But regardless, it highlights how Kamala Harris views herself and how she wants her candidacy and party viewed on the issue of abortion. She is unapologetically for limitless abortion. Michael Voris, a well-known Catholic commentator, tweeted this out recently. He said, "The Democrats are in league with the devil. All you have to do to see this is think for 10 seconds about their hatred for children. They kill them, brainwash them, expose them to perverts, mutilate them, drug them, separate them from their parents, sex traffic them, indoctrinate them, and use them for political fodder." He says there will be a very high price for them to pay in the next life, but in this life, anyone who is normal and or considers himself a Christian must work to crush these demons going after our children. Hear, hear. I couldn't agree more. And contrary to whatever Kamala Harris and her godless Democrats may think, the fact of the matter is that most major religions are not for child sacrifice, even on the altar of so-called women's rights. Her opponent, Donald Trump, has a solid record. His actual record of supporting the rights of the unborn as president is untouchable. Now, looking at this Rasmussen poll, it's obvious that Trump has a clear advantage over his rival on the matter of abortion. Now, despite these obvious advantages, though, even Trump, with some bad advice from some people around him, is shying away from his previous heroic support for the rights of the unborn.
You overturned Roe and you want abortion to be a states' rights issue. In Florida, the state that you are a resident of, there's an abortion-related amendment on the ballot to overturn the 6-week ban in Florida. How are you going to vote on that?
Well, I think the 6-week is too short. It has to be more time, and so and I've told them that I want more weeks.
So you'll vote in favor of the amendment?
I am going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. Look, just so you understand, everybody wanted Roe v. Wade terminated for years, 52 years. I got it done.
And he did get it done. And I will say he did backtrack on that answer to that interview a little bit. But he has to understand that the Christian vote is one of the most consistently pro-Trump votes. The former president rode into power largely because of that very voting bloc. Now, as Andrew T. Walker of the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary wrote recently in the Christian publication World, he said, quote, "All this triangulation does is serve to depress the pro-life vote. No Trump skeptic voter is going to look at him easing on abortion and think, yeah, this is what will cause me to vote for him. Trump trying to make himself more moderate on abortion will not earn him accolades among the determined who hate him." Like, it's a big problem that Trump is creating for himself when the data so clearly indicates that most voters are actually with Trump on his previous opposition to Roe v. Wade, yet someone, or some of these people we often highlight close to Trump have gotten into his head that he has to become the Diet Coke version of Kamala Harris. And join me now to talk about all this is Gary Michael Voris of the website Souls and Liberty. Gary, I love that tweet. I could not agree more. And you got everything in there that the Democrats do to children. So kudos for that. It was funny because when Mark Mitchell and I were looking at the Rasmussen poll, that was not what the poll was about. It was just, the general favorability of Trump versus Harris. And then Mark happened to realize the religious demographics of it and how it broke down. And he immediately flagged it for me because I'm always talking about what I think this holy war is that we're in. It's really a spiritual battle of good versus evil is what politics is today. He said, even the polling lines up with that statement. And we are in a holy war, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. I've been saying this for years, and it just gets more and more and more evident when a polling outfit with the respectability and public acumen of Rasmussen comes out and says, "Oh, this is going to sound like a weird holy war." Here's the bottom line: if you are a self-proclaimed and even less than most intelligent person on the world, follower of Jesus Christ, you cannot deny that there is a malevolent, personal, intelligent being whose name was Lucifer and is now referred to as Satan, the devil, etc. This is an actual being. You and I are human beings. He is an angelic being. God is a divine being. He's a fallen angelic being, but he still possesses all the qualities of the nature of an angel. This malevolent being detests mankind and especially detests children. So to be able to co-opt a party, it's the mind. And he's not like sitting in the controlled seat dictating policy, but he has suggested things to the minds of leading Democrats, Democratic leaders, that ultimately destroys bodies and souls, because that's what he wants. Now, again, from a theological standpoint, he doesn't get joy from that. Like, hey, I want a soul. He doesn't get joy. He doesn't have the ability to receive joy from that. It's just his nature to destroy. That's all he does. It's like a tornado doesn't get joy from like ripping up a house, but it's just his nature to destroy. And I think too many Christians, or probably not enough Christians, really under Catholics and Protestants, individual Catholics and individual Protestants, really sort of have this kind of like Dana Carvey, like Satan, kind of view of the devil, or like Flip Wilson, the devil made me do it, or something like that. This is a malevolent being who is, spoken of in very personal terms, right up to coming up and tempting Christ in the desert. And in the book of Revelation, the Apocalypse, as Catholics call it, Saint John reveals, and he says, he warns us, "Woe to you, earth and sea, for the devil has come down to you in great fury, because he knows his time is short." Saint Peter warns us against the devil, prowling about like a roaring lion. This is a personal being, and he will use whatever is at his disposal to make war on the children of God. It was the devil, remember, we have it right there in the Gospels. It was the devil that entered the heart of Judas. The devil isn't some ethereal thing and some little red devil sitting on your shoulder. So this is an actual malevolent being whose intellect is far greater than the combined knowledge of all of humanity put together, because we're trapped in time and he's not. And he entered into Satan's heart and inspired with Satan. He didn't control him and like possess him and make him do it, but he suggested it to, through his corruption, through Judas's thievery and lying and corruption of his own soul. He blew the doors open for Satan to come in and essentially take over, and I'll put that in quotes, not possess him, but entered his heart, and he betrayed Christ. And he used the state to set the circumstances to create the greatest sin humanity could ever create, deicide. So to think that this being is absent in our day-to-day affairs of life, particularly in politics, particularly where Western civilization built on Christian principles of everything that's enunciated in the Constitution and natural law and all of the order of the universe set up by its creator. He wants that overturned. He wants it turned on its ear. He wants misery and suffering all over the place as much as possible. This is what he does. He is the enemy of mankind. And he wants to destroy us. Again, not for his own joy, but because that's his nature. And that if enough Christians don't understand this, we're talking about spiritual war. We're not talking about, some weird concept of good and evil. We're talking about a malevolent being.
Can I ask you a real quick question, since we're talking about this, obvious spiritual war we're in, and we have about a minute. A lot of people have gotten really turned off by Trump's, recent statements on abortion, saying that he's wrong. But they're saying they're not going to vote for him, that they're just not going to vote. I love the name of your show and your website, because I think this really gets to it. Souls and Liberty, right? It is soul and it is liberty too. So what do you say to those people in about 45 seconds who say that they're so turned off, they're just not going to vote for him over those statements?
Not voting for him is a vote for the other side, because it gives them a +1. The difference here is that you've got one side that can be worked with. These are people who are at least of, goodwill, all of that. They have some human virtue. The other side is essentially possessed, not in the technical sense of the term, but possessed intellectually and soulfully by demons. They hate children. They hate everything. They want nothing but destruction. They can't be worked with. This side might be able to work with. That must dictate your vote as a follower of Jesus Christ.
And look, he is still the most pro-life. His record still stands. I mean, he still has that record that he has from the actions he took as president. So there you go. Gary, thank you so much for joining us. And your website is soulsandliberty.com, soulsandliberty.com. It's so easy to remember. I love it. Go and check it out.
Thank you very much, Emerald. God bless you and all your viewers.
Michael Lindell continues to run some of the best specials, the best deals of all time on mypillow.com. And look, it's about more than pillows. If you haven't taken a look at mypillow.com lately, Mike is constantly adding new products. He's running fabulous deals on them since the big box stores have canceled them. He is passing the savings directly on to you. And you know what? I got to thinking, some of you out there may actually not even have a MyPillow. I know that sounds unbelievable at this point, but it could be true. So maybe you're even asking, what is so great about MyPillow? Well, let me tell you, this is why MyPillow works. It actually forms to your shape. And what is also fantastic about it, because sometimes you get a pillow and it just, especially if you wear makeup like me, and I know you put your sheet over it, your pillowcase, but you want to be able to wash your pillow from time to time. My pillows can be machine washed. They can be dried. And not only that, you can also choose your loft, which is really important when you want to make sure you get the best night's sleep ever. So go to mypillow.com. If you haven't gotten a MyPillow yet, you can still get some of the best specials, the lowest prices ever that Mike has ever offered for both his signature MyPillow and his premium MyPillow with Giza fabric. Go to MyPillow. You can choose your loft there, but maybe you want to talk to someone so that you can get a little more guidance on the best MyPillow for you. You can call the number you see at the bottom of your screen, 800-944-5396, 800-944-5396. Also, be sure to tell them that you want to use the promo code TRUTH, because not only are you going to get these fantastic deals and you'll get some guidance on the best possible MyPillow to get the best night's sleep ever, but you'll also get a free gift with purchase, the MyPillow 2.0 Go Anywhere pillow. That's a free gift from Mike Lindell for us and my audience only. And speaking of Mr. Mike Lindell, he is up right now. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.